Go over some FAFSA, financial aid, Pell Grant, that's all kind of the same thing, and scholarships, just some information that y'all may need to know. Some of it you may know, some of it you may not know. First is how to apply. Everything's done online. This FAFSA application is free. It should not cost you any money. You want to make sure you're on FAFSA.gov. There are similar websites out there that want to charge you money to do the same thing. FAFSA.com is one of those, but make sure you're on FAFSA.gov. If you get to the end of it and it's asking for credit card information, just know you're on the wrong site. So FAFSA.com, right now we're on the 14-15 school year. This application goes through the summer. So for those of you that have already applied, your funds should already be available if you have money left. 15-16 starts the fall. That application is also available. That's going to be for fall, spring, and summer of next year. So just keep in mind, make sure you're on the right site, on the right tab to show that you're filling out the right application. PIN numbers. You do have to have PIN numbers to fill out the application. This is how you electronically sign it. It's a 4-digit number that you create. You plug it in at the end, submit it. If you're a dependent student and you're using parental information, then no, you have to have, the parent has to apply for a PIN number as well. Separate PIN numbers, both of you have to apply for one, submit it at the end. You can submit the application without PIN numbers, but it goes into like a pending status. The schools don't actually get all of the information, and we can't process or give you funds until the PIN numbers are on and you've signed the application. To determine whether or not you're an independent or dependent student. This is a touchy subject for a lot of students. This is a government policy, it's not a school policy. A lot of you may be under the age of 24, you may pay your own bills, you may live on your own, your parents may not help support you in any way. But unfortunately, unless you can answer yes to one of these questions, then you have to use parental information on the FAFSA. So you have to be over the age of 25, married, veteran, you have to have children or dependents other than child or spouse. If your parents are deceased, you're an orphan or ward of the court. If you are an emancipated minor, which means you have legally divorced your parents through the court system. If you're in legal guardianship, which means that someone other than your parents have custody of you, or if you're homeless. So if you can answer yes to one of those questions, then you would not have to use parental information on the FAFSA. FAFSA dates. This is very important just for the simple fact that everything is a process, everything takes time. I will say you want to make sure you give yourself about a month to fill out the FAFSA. It takes about 7 to 14 business days to fill out the FAFSA once you do it online. And then if you're selected for verification, once the school gets it, it can take an additional 7 to 10 days to process. So you want to give yourself a couple of weeks. We do have a deadline for summer. For those of you that have not applied, that deadline would be May 8th at noon. So that means the FAFSA has to be done. Any additional documents have to be turned in by that date in order to guarantee payment for the first day of class. Now you can still turn stuff in after the deadline. We will still process it. It's just at that point it's first come, first serve, and we can't guarantee that the funds will be here by the first day of class. So you'd either have to pay out of pocket and let it reimburse you, or you'd have to sit out until the next semester. The verification process is completely random. They select 30% of students for verification. There's really no rhyme or reason for it most of the time. It just means that once the school gets it, you may have to turn in additional documents for us to go in and verify it matches what you put on the FAFSA. Sometimes it is on purpose. Sometimes it could be that you listed something funny. Most of the time it has to do with income. If you're doing it manually, then you may enter something wrong, and then they may flag you to turn in tax transcripts to the school for us to verify that what you put on the FAFSA is correct. That's why we push that data retrieval tool. That IRS data retrieval tool on the FAFSA is where you sign in to the IRS website and it pulls your tax information over to the FAFSA application without you having to do any of it. So as long as you don't touch it or alter anything that has imported into the FAFSA application, then they usually don't question it and you're good to go. Award information. This is when you do the FAFSA, they're giving you an EFC number. That stands for Estimated Family Contribution. That is based on income and household size. That's the number that they give the schools to let us know how much money you're eligible for. It's usually on that confirmation page when you first apply online. Right now the cutoff's around $5,200, so if your EFC is below $5,200, then you're going to qualify for some amount of financial aid. If it's above $5,200, then you wouldn't be able to get the Pell Grant. You do not have to be full-time to apply for FAFSA. A lot of students think they have to go 12 hours to get it. That's not the case. You have to go 12 hours to get the full amount, but if you don't go 12 hours, you go less than that, then you're going to get a percentage. You can receive scholarships and Pell Grant at the same time. Scholarships normally, in most cases, are tuition only, so that scholarship's going to pay first, and then whatever the balance is can be covered by Pell Grant. They do cover books and supplies if you have the funds available, and then of course anything that's left over after all of that will be sent to you in a check 2 weeks after school starts, as long as your instructor has verified you've attended class. This is just award amounts. This is to give you an idea of what it looks like for the breakdown. So this is based on a student that has a 0 EFC number, which means they're eligible for full Pell Grant. If they go full-time, 12 hours, they get the full amount at $28.65 a semester. 9 to 11 hours is considered 3/4 time, so they get 75% of their award. 6 to 8 hours is half time, so they would get half. 1 to 5 hours, they get 25%. They're less than half time. Currently, tuition is $132 per credit hour. Scholarships, this is our scholarship tab on the website. Scholarships are live right now. The deadline is March 2nd at 6 p.m. So that's just right around the corner. That's for summer scholarships, and that's for next fall, next year's scholarships, fall, spring, and summer of next year. There is money available. There are scholarships available. I just tell students, just apply. I have so many that don't apply just because they think they're not going to be eligible or I'm not going to get it. But there's plenty of funds available. The worst they're going to tell you is no, you don't get it. But if you do apply and you do get it, it's only going to benefit you because you can get both. The work study program, we offer federal work study here at Shelton, which means you do have to qualify for Pell Grant in order to receive it. It's just part-time, minimum wage. We work around your schedule here on campus. I will say positions are limited. We've got about 20 to 25 positions, and we do have tons of applicants. I just would say make sure your application is legible. You can even attach a resume to it and make it stand out. Because really what happens is as departments or employees need work studies, they just come down and go through the applications and they pull the ones out they want to call for an interview. The applications are good for the school year that you turn them in, so if you turn one in now, it's going to be good through the summer, and then you'd have to reapply for fall, for next fall, spring, and summer. So we hold them on file. You can fill them out. The applications are online. You can print them from online under financial aid forms. You can pick one up from the Enrollment Services office or from the Scholarship office. Loans. Shelton does not participate in any private or federal student loan programs. We're just not a participating institution. So even though when you apply for FAFSA, you are applying for loans as well. You may even have a loan amount on your confirmation page. You are eligible for those funds, you just can't use them here. So that means you'd have to transfer to a 2-year college that participates or a 4-year college to use that loan money. But just know that it's not like Pell Grant money. It does have to be paid back after you graduate. You do receive an email from us once we get your FAFSA. It's going to tell you to sign into your My Shelton account, go under your financial aid tab, review your requirements. Anything that's unsatisfied, you need to make sure you complete it and satisfy it on your account so that the funds will post. The personal info tab is very important. Make sure your email address, and your phone number are all up to date because that's usually what we go by when we need to get in touch with you. The FERPA form, that's a federal form that you have to fill out in person downstairs in the Enrollment Services office. That is giving us permission to release information to anyone other than you. Most of the time it's parents. Parents want to be able to call or come in, find out what your grades were. They want to know if you owe a balance. We cannot release that information unless this form is filled out. So we can scan it in your file. So if they call or come up here without you, then we can tell them what they need to know. SAP, satisfactory academic progress. This is very important. You do have to maintain a certain GPA and completion rate to keep your Pell Grant. They've gotten stricter about this over the last few semesters. They've even changed it within the last 2 weeks as far as the appeal process. They're kind of getting away from that. For For example, if this is your first semester and you're in 12 credit hours, you're going to fall in that top category where you have to have a 1.5 GPA and a 58% completion rate. It is not hard to fall below compliance. Let's just say, for example, if for some reason you have to drop 2 of your classes this time, that's going to automatically put you below that 58%, which means for the summer semester you'd be placed on what's called a financial aid warning and in jeopardy of losing your financial aid. I will say also that a lot of times it takes 2 and 3 semesters to catch up from one semester that you did not do well in. So let's say you come in the summer and you're on a warning and you do great, you pass everything and you complete everything. You know, at that point you've got to be at a 1.75 and a 62% completion rate. So there's a possibility that even if you do well during your warning term, you won't be back in compliance. And if that's the case, then you would be suspended for the fall semester and you'd have to pay out of pocket or pay by scholarship, something other than Pell Grant, to get your GPA and completion rate back in compliance, and then Pell Grant would pay again. The only other option to that would be an appeal, but at this point they're saying that if you don't have a mitigating circumstance as to why you did not do well that semester, meaning the two options they gave us, you know, examples they gave us is an immediate death in the family, or if you had a severe illness that prevented you, you know, from, you know, if it kept you out for enough time where it affected your performance for the semester. So if that's the case, then you can come downstairs and talk to us about the appeal process. And then you can go to one more. I went over that. Repeats. Pell Grant does pay for repeats. College level courses, that's anything 100 level or above, they'll pay for as many times as you need it. You know, a lot of students want to retake classes they made C's or D's in. They want to take it again and make a better grade to help raise their GPA. You can do that. They'll pay for that as many times as you need. The remedial courses, that's anything below 100, like Math 090, English 093, they'll pay for those 3 attempts or 3 times a piece. And that just means that if it takes you more than 3 tries to pass it, which has happened, then that 4th attempt, you know, they're not going to cover it. So what happens is your award is adjusted down based on your hours without that class. Pell Grant only pays for classes in your current program of study. So that program you have listed in, you know, downstairs in enrollment services, it's on your My Shelton account. You have to follow that in order for them to pay for it. So that checklist you get from your advisor, or if you're following, you know, the program in the catalog, if it's not a required course, Pell won't cover it. It's not that you can't take classes outside your program. You can. If you want to take a PED class for fun, you can do that. Just know that, again, your award would be adjusted down based on your hours without that class. Certificate programs, which is like cosmetology, LPN, nursing assistant, welding, auto body, those are all considered clock hour conversion programs, which means unfortunately Pell Grant does not pay full credit for those. So even though you may be full-time, you may have 12 hours in that program, they may only be paying you half of your financial aid award, which may or may not be enough to cover everything. That's where those technical scholarships are going to come in handy. So if you can get that technical scholarship to help you pay for your tuition, then a lot of times your Pell Grant amount is enough to cover the difference. Workshops. We do offer financial aid workshops. We can assist you to fill out the application. They're usually on Wednesdays from 3 to 5 o'clock. We have one like 2 a month. We had one yesterday, so I'm assuming the next one will be the week after next. It does not last 2 hours. You can come anytime between 3 and 5. It takes about 15 minutes to fill it out. So for those of you that are interested in this summer, you know, it will reimburse you for any semester you've been enrolled this year. You can fill that out, or we can assist you in filling out the upcoming FAFSA for 15-16. So if you want to know the dates for those, you can check with our office and we can let you know when the next one is. Does anybody have any questions?